last time it was Higginbotham, wasn't it?
Renee.
And we appointed her. And this time that left us two openings. One of them was Brian Murphy. And we had an application for him, and I know these is Don Howdy. Hildy.
And we've appointed him.
And then also, and he'll be in Brian Murphy's place. And then we had Deborah Stubberfield is moving, and Michelle Gray lives next door in Van Shelley's house, and we'd like to go ahead and do that. See, all those in favor?
Of Michelle Gray?
Yeah, and we didn't see where we had done Donald,
Oh, okay.
so we need to do him.
All right.
And
Which one?
Mr. Hildy.
Oh, Hildy,
Hildy,
yes, okay,
he's a good guy.
right,
And he'll take Brian Murphy's place.
okay, I got you.
And that'll fill us up, and all in favor. Well, it didn't take long, we worked about an hour to get them on.
Martha, will you reach out to both of them?
Yeah.
Mr. Hildy will ask me questions and who he should be hearing from, and it's you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let him know. Thank you.
Yeah, they both will be agreeing, yeah. And the Board of Zoning Justice, we didn't get anything, and both of those wanted, Rye Griffin and, yeah. No, I did, they want to be reappointed. Y'all don't have any objection?
To reappointing Tyndall,
Tyndall and Rye Griffin,
but not James Bobo?
and James
And
Bobo,
James Bobo.
yeah, and Rye Griffin.
I don't have any, on those areas, I don't have any issue.
Yeah, those are pretty hard. And Rye Griffin.
What, did y'all do King Randall?
No, we don't want to. No, not yet. Yeah, they're okay. Yeah.
We do need to have a different.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
He's on the way. He didn't know 3:30. No, I told him last night.
Let me see if I can find it. So it's two.
And we appointed Paul. No, that was.
The attorney.
All those in favor?
For all four. Renee Higginbotham and Michelle Gray.
Yeah, that's right. All in favor?
He's on his way.
He's en route.
Y'all excuse us, we got one member that can't remember. No, he's been busy, and I was sorry to make you wait, but Eugene, whoever's gonna be in charge or wants to start, will be glad to.
Eugene Sack, 109 Longleaf Way, Florence. That's how we normally started, I think, on general business. But thank you for hosting this work session. For the last year, we've been in pre-development of a fantastic opportunity for the city of Florence, which is a Reverb by Hard Rock Hotel, which is a destination hotel located here in downtown Florence. The economic impact will be far greater on a city of this size than what Hard Rock normally would place a location. In fact, this is the one of only 2 cities that Hard Rock has sought to put a hotel like this because of our musical heritage, and they'll speak to that, but one of only 2 cities, less than 1 million people. It'll create 140 jobs permanently with the employer of PCH Hotels, who is a controlled entity of the Retirement Systems of Alabama. They will be the operators and management of this property for the next 20 years, and hopefully then the next 20 following. They, of course, option every 20 years. I think that's the durable length of a contract they're allowed to do. I want to give some credit just for a moment. This has been long, it's been somewhat fraught, but I wanted to say thank you. Actually, what we've come up there with, the plan, was the mayor has stood strong in the negotiations here, actually, and really stood for and protected the city. And from there, through council, we've gotten this to move forward in something that we now propose, which is no risk, no commitment of funds, no forward funds, no outlay, no capital contribution by the city. That what we're asking for is a 15-year commitment to rebate taxes that are earned by this hotel and its operations. All the indirect benefits of this project, and those actually tally by third-party economic impact studies, hundreds of millions of dollars of impact on the downtown of Florence. Those are indirect. We consider those as the hotel operation indirect because we don't create those except through visitorship. But for all of the downtown businesses that will be affected, it is direct revenue. With that, we're going to field any questions that you may have, that we're happy to do so. I have a team that came in today, and stakeholders like the city that want to see a sustainable and a project that will succeed for generations, at least 2 generations that we can forecast. They are from Hard Rock International, Steve Forsberg; from PCH Hotels and Resorts, Jay Molitor; from Lemoyne Company Construction Management, Mr. Bill Heath; and then General Counsel Mike Shipper from Denton's. So I'm going to let each of them come up as you would permit and say hello and be prepared to answer any questions. Are there any for me first, or would you like to hear from everyone first? All right.
So, hi, my name is Steve Forsberg, VP of Development for Reverb by Hard Rock. I spoke here last time, and if there's any questions you have on our behalf, I'd love to answer. We have sought out this city because of the music heritage, and we're excited. Hopefully this project moves forward, and we're excited. If it does, we'll take it to committee and make a decision.
I have a couple questions, Mr. Forsberg, and thank you for doing this, and I appreciate all of you being here. I know it's time out on a Tuesday, but I sincerely appreciate it. You mentioned in your direct quote is we sought out the city because of the music heritage. Tell me what you see as that heritage and what appeals to you about this location.
Yeah, so what we want is for the reverb, for the sites that we put for Reverb by Hard Rock, to have some kind of music connection.
And
So
the other one is where?
What's that?
Where is the other one?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're basically CeeLo Green, and their rap music basically originated from, and they have a lot of studios there in Atlanta. And then for here, because of the Aretha Franklin from back in the '60s, with the recording studios, the iconic recording studios right across the river, there at Muscle Shoals, and then the Muscle Shoals name, it's in a Leonard Skinner song. Leonard Skinner's represented throughout most of our properties and the memorabilia.
Atlanta and Florence and Muscle Shoals and the Shoals area are really different, though,
Correct.
as far as like what we attract in our clientele. And if this is a better question for Rob or Larry, I'll certainly ask it to them. But I guess I'm asking you to drill down on that because we're not the same as them. It is more of a heritage, whereas they do, as you mentioned, with CeeLo Green and like other very prominent artists, they are living there now. And it's very different now. It's much more current, present tense versus past tense.
Yeah, but the recording studios are still here up and running today, here in Muscle Shoals area. As well as now we also have, we're looking at a site in Kalamazoo, Michigan that we've actually signed and sealed. And we're doing the project there in the Gibson Guitar Factory. So where the Gibson guitar was made, we're putting the hotel there as well. And it's another small town under about 1 million people in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
We don't even have 500,000. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't even have 200,000 if you lump us all together.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But you have a major university here.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yep. Any other questions? Roll Tide here.
No, that's not who's down the street.
That's right.
That is-
I see your shirt.
I think we better stop.
That could have been Atlanta Braves. I'm from Atlanta. It looks like Atlanta Braves to me. I'm sorry. It's not.
That's him.
Right. I was looking at him. Anybody else?
Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay, not right now.
I'd like to ask a question. This might not be for you. What do you expect the run rate to be?
Yeah, PCH, we'll get into that. Yeah. Yep.
No
Anything else?
questions?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm Jay Molitor, Vice President of Development with PCH Hotels. I've spoken with you folks all before. We're excited about this project because, we already have a property here in town and everything, and because of the reverb and what it all means and so forth, it'll help drive new business into the market and so forth. And that's what makes us excited about it and everything. It'll bring somebody that's looking to explore. They kind of call it the music trail and everything. They visit Nashville, they visit Memphis and everything, and Muscle Shoals is becoming one of those also. And that's where the reverb kind of comes into play. To kind of answer some of the questions you might have also asked regarding reverb is there's a story behind this property. And that's an exciting story, and that's a story that reverb is going to be able to share throughout and everything, throughout their portfolio and throughout the Hard Rock. And that's makes it exciting and everything. We're very excited about the project. We've been involved for quite a while, and we think it'll be an excellent project. So.
How do you see the other property you guys manage and this working together? Or can you see any kind of conflict there, having two properties?
Potentially, but you're also in two different locations
Yeah.
and so forth. One is downtown and one is kind of out outside. You know, our property, the current property we have, the Marriott, which will soon be a Renaissance, is more of a resort type property.
Right.
Has a pool, so forth. That's more of what that property is. Where this is more going to be kind of a downtown property, more urban like. So I think they'll benefit back and forth from each other. So, okay. I know there was a question with regards to rates and everything. It is kind of seasonal, but I would say anywhere from $150 to over $250, maybe $300 a night, depending on.
That's cheaper than Marriott.
What's that?
That's a little cheaper than the Marriott, right?
No, it's right about the same. Yeah, it's right about the same. Yep, very seasonal, so forth. Okay.
I was checking my RSA rates last night.
That's great. Okay. All righty. Thank you all very much.
So,
good afternoon. I'm Bill Heath. I'm the Director of Hospitality Construction for Lemoyne Program Services. So we are a management firm, third party, that we work with developers, primarily focused on the construction process. In this case, we already have our designer, but we would work with them to select the contractors, to vet the project, establish the construction timelines, even to the point of liaison with the building permit office, so forth. So that is somewhat of what we do. To step back a little bit, I'm also a native son. I'm a river rat from over in Tuscumbia, and still come home to visit mom from time to time and take her to St. Bart's Church over here. So this project, from the first opportunity when I spoke to Eugene about it, has been extremely near and dear to my heart, because I've been in the construction industry my entire 32-year career, and to have the opportunity to finally come home and do something as iconic as this, something that I can drive by every time I'm here. The location is amazing. It's going to be a challenge. We're looking at taking a building that has the open air breezeways and enclosing that, and that's going to mean the challenge of working right up against the street. But I always say, anybody go out in the middle of the field and build something, to do something that's going to be this memorable. Something that everybody who comes to town, whether they stay there or not, they're going to see. Maybe they'll want to stay there the next time. In talking with Steve, one of the things about the reverb, it's something, nobody here's really heard of, only a couple in existence. I think the third one that's operating is in Hamburg, Germany. So, it's something so new, and yet the fact that it's coming here to my hometown, and, there will be people, I learned this building hospitality. There are people who will only stay in their brand, and with a brand like Reverb, they're going to seek out. They're going to be people who are going to come here only because we have a Reverb, and they're going to stay here, and they're going to tell their friends, and it's going to drive traffic. And again, I grew up, I won't say if I was old enough or not, but I grew up going to bars up and down Court Street, and with my sister at UNA, and I see this location as somewhat of a bookend of that, from the campus towards the river, and again, my experience has primarily been with destination type construction. And one thing I've learned with something like this is, you build something there and you've got a little bit of a gap in between, it's going to fill in, and it's going to drive other new businesses to open, other taxpayers and profit generating. And so by taking advantage of this location, the structure, again, the history that's already been mentioned, it's just something I'm very excited to be a part of, and look forward to it going forward.
What kind of timeline do you see once, if it's approved, as it moves forward?
Right now, our initial timelines, obviously, we've got a lot of deep design work to do to take the existing structure. So there's going to be a lot of research, a lot of crawling around and measuring and confirming. But we're probably looking at a 4 to 6 month process of getting the design complete and fully vetted, selecting our contractor, and then we're probably looking at anywhere from a 14 to 18 month timeline of construction itself. But I'll definitely want our general contractors, and we're going to talk to multiple to weigh in on this. to provide that type of input. So we'll talk. We don't have anyone committed yet. Obviously, we're early in that process, but we're going to vet a few different contractors with experience of this type of property, and a lot of that information will come from them.
What's the total number of floors you're anticipating?
It's 8 total with the addition of 2 more on top of what we have in our rooftop restaurant and bar. So you'll have 8. So you're gonna have from the rooftop bar area, you're gonna be able to see the river and all the way up into town. So it's gonna be a real place where as people come through and they drive Cox Creek and see the you're gonna see it from. It's gonna be almost like a torch, standing there shining in that location.
Is
gonna
this
get
pretty
great
much
visibility.
what they look like, or is this kind of?
Yes, that's
rough
specific
rendering?
to this project.
This
So,
is
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, each one is unique.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question, and I apologize for being late. I did not get the notice that we were meeting at 3:30, so somehow I missed that. But it's going to be encapsulated. I mean, you're not tearing anything down. You're
Correct.
What about asbestos? But that thing's got a lot in it. Is that going to be a problem getting it out, or is there? I'm just assuming because that's a pretty old building, but
Yeah, no, we'll do a full phase 1 environmental study, and anything, whether it be lead-based paint or asbestos, anything that needs to be removed will be. We'll use the proper abatement contractors. That's something I've done more times than I can count.
I was just wondering. I was thinking about covering it up, not tearing anything down. It might be if it'd be a problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
What cap did you put on the 50% of the tax revenue? Was it a dollar amount? Or, Michael?
Yes, Mr. Jordan, I'm Michael Shipper with Denton's, and I'm here for FOF providing the legal advice and legal counsel. The cap was $5 million or 15 years at a 50% rate of the revenues that come into the city of Florence. That was of course that proposal is distilled down a great deal from when we first appeared before this body. I've been working with Lee Barshaw and Billy Musgrove. We've conferred several times. They are, of course, colleagues of mine, and we would like the opportunity to reduce that to a development agreement if we get the okay from this body.
Thank you, Mike.
I have a question. My question is, I know that you're seeking assistance from the city. Where are you with the county? And I know I've talked with Mr. Sachs on numerous occasions, so I'm just wanting to know where we are with that as of today.
I haven't had any conversations with the county yet. I think we are waiting on the city, but I do expect that we will have those. Now, I know Mr. Sack may have had lots of conversations. From a legal standpoint, I haven't been involved at all to this point.
My next question, hypothetically, if the county does not agree to move forward, what does that mean for this?
I don't know the answer.
Can anybody answer, Mr. Sachs or anybody?
Yeah, I can, sure. The last question was, we are not seeking assistance from the city. We are seeking a rebate on taxes that we create under operations over the next 15 years. So we're not, there's no risk, no investment, and we're not looking for any sort of handout.
That is correct. I apologize.
Okay.
My wording was incorrect.
Yeah, the second is, yes, I've had contact with county officials. It is very important, as it would be in a marriage. You don't ask your in-laws until you're married for anything. I know we're located in the county, but the city is who will gain a tremendous amount of impact, the outsized impact that I spoke to. And this being located in downtown Florence, especially in discussions with Hard Rock, is the city of Florence is the leader. We're the largest economy. This is where we're locating here in the heartbeat. But the leadership of the city of Florence is paramount. We will be seeking other incentive packages, we see that with the county, it would probably be very much similar or mirrored. And then we'll seek other opportunities over the next 6 months while we're in pre-con or pre-development, as we say, to stack even other stakeholders that we might not recognize today. Unfortunately, the only one that would not qualify is historical tax credits. Normally in this, when you're protecting and preserving such a property, HTCs are employed. In this property, they're not, and that's because we are modifying the property great enough to meet the Reverb by Hard Rock standards. Their standards are for the next 30 years. That when they put their brand on it, you have to meet modern economic standards. And so the preservation of the property itself will now be an infrastructure core, and we will wrap the property and extend roof height by 3 stories.
So I'd like to take Ms. Simmons' question and ask it kind of about the city of Florence. She said, what would you do if the county doesn't do anything? And as you said, we're not quite there yet. What if the city says no to this? Will you still pursue it?
Not at all.
So you will drop it completely?
Completely.
And why
if the
is
city
that?
doesn't embrace that, then its leadership, that would be a factor that Hard Rock probably would not stand. And I don't want to speak for him, but these incentives are normal, and they actually help a community of this size, or what these incentives really do is improve the economics of a destination hotel, which may have a higher expense per room than, say, a select service hotel like a Marriott by Courtyard or a Hampton Inn. The price per room of this is extremely expensive to bring such a quality brand here. I mean, I'll ask you maybe even to speak to that, but as he said, there are only 43 hotels in the world with Hard Rock's brand on it, yet they're known by 93% of the world's population. The world. They're a bigger brand than Coca-Cola.
Do you have, and I sincerely apologize, I did have to miss the last time that you were here. So I'm grateful again, let me say that, because this is my first time to hear a lot of this. Are these stats that you talk about, are they in this book? Will I find them here?
Yes.
Okay, so the statistics you talked about with the 93%.
Well, that's Hard Rock statistics. I'm sorry, those are marketing-driven statistics from Hard Rock International. What you'll see in the binder that I've given are the economic impact studies.
I just had gotten to that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I will take a look at that, and I feel certain that I know how to get in touch with you if I have questions.
Yeah, the economic impact study was performed by Younger and Associates and Pinkowski. Those are Memphis-based third-party analysts, and Younger and Associates was responsible for just to give you an idea of how blue chip they are, is Younger and Associates provided consulting for Ford's Opal City in Tennessee, west of Nashville. They were the economic impact study advisors for that. So we're very fortunate to have these blue chip companies. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have
You
another
look like
question.
you have a question for me. So
Well, it's not for
in
you,
oral
but I do
passage,
have another
yeah.
question. But it's not for you at this
Okay,
time.
all right.
So somebody else may have one for Mr. Zhang. Okay. I have a question, and if Mr. Carnegie or Mr. Bowser, either one of you guys can answer this. We do have a letter from Mr. Carnegie, so one of you guys that can represent the hotel, if you could speak in regards to this. We have the letter to the council, but for those who are listening to us on Facebook, they have no idea that we have this. So if one of you all can speak in regards to your support or non-support, or however you feel.
Oh, absolutely. Again, Larry Bowser, Shoals resident, GM of the Marriott Shoals, currently soon to be Renaissance Shoals. Appreciate this opportunity and your consideration. Probably outside of Eugene, there's probably no one more excited about this project than I am. As you all know, my 20 years here in the Shoals and the passion that I have for Muscle Shoals music. And when I say around Muscle Shoals, I refer to the region, this 80-mile section of the Tennessee River that's been historically known as Muscle Shoals. But you think about that brand in itself of, everyone in the world has heard of Muscle Shoals. You know, that third verse in Sweet Home Alabama, Muscle Shoals has got the Swampers. They've been known for a song or two. I mean, it's just an outstanding brand for us to have that. And, you know, we're proud of the Marriott. We're even going to be more proud to become a Renaissance, but every town has a Marriott. You know, every town has Hampton and Suites. Every town has, they're great hotels. You know, our as Jay alluded, you know, we're more of a resort. But to have a internationally recognized brand known for rock and roll recognize us as a potential destination is absolutely outstanding, and will take us, I think, to the next level of just being able to recruit and, you know, tourism, and in conjunction with the TID and everything that all the investments that you guys are doing. Absolutely remarkable how that would work. To answer your question on how the two properties work together, we have a similar model in Mobile. We manage two properties that are a block away from each other: the Renaissance Battle House, the Renaissance Riverview. And there's so many opportunities in shared services, accounting, engineering, you know, maintenance, you know, all those aspects of it. But really, from a marketing and branding standpoint of us, you know, managing the inventory. As you all know, we have a 30,000 square foot convention center. We're able to take conventions of up to 1,200 people. But I only have 200 guest rooms in my hotel. So this will provide overflow. It would allow us to bring in larger conventions, opportunities there. It would allow us to market and to leverage that, you know, with conjunction of the efforts of, you know, the both properties as well. So again, it's an exciting opportunity. It's really a tremendous advantage to be able to manage both properties in conjunction with one another. So I give it my full support.
And we just spoke just the other day with a meeting, and Mr. Carnegie might want to elaborate on this as well. We are tremendously short on hotel rooms here in Florence and the entire Shoals area. We're seeing people come in for our softball tournaments and our baseball tournaments, which we have booked. They're coming in worldwide, and they're staying in Athens and Madison, and when they go over there after a ball game, they don't come back until it's time for another ball game. Right. So I'm sure you can vouch for the fact that we need more rooms, and having one right here downtown would be a huge get.
Right.
For
Currently,
us.
I am the only full-service hotel in the city. So that has restaurants and bars. This, again, would be another full-service opportunity, quality rooms, internationally recognized brand. You know, again, that provides two unique experiences: the resort experience that we offer, and then, of course, this downtown urban experience with rooftop dining, and, you know, that experience. Just tremendous to be able to sell those two in conjunction together is remarkable.
I had a conversation with someone today, and I know we're running. I've only got just a couple more minutes here. But hotel guests, you know their habits better than I do, but I would assume they just don't sit in their room all day. They get out, and if they've got time, and they explore your downtown areas, which leads to spending money in the downtown, or not just downtown, but the entire Florence city.
Yes. I mean, most economic studies that will tell you every dollar spent in lodging, there's $6 to $8 spent in other services, retail, food and beverage. I mean, the economic impact from this project will lead to additional developments in downtown, especially on that south side of Court Street. I mean, it's going to be a great first impression coming into the city. I mean, it's just a remarkable opportunity for us all.
I have one more question. With the other hotels around, do you think that this would help hurt the other hotels in the area?
No. It will help it.
Okay.
You know, because again, it is a brand that's going to attract people and bring general appeal. You know, it's not limited service courtyards or anything else. They're great to have rooms, and it's great to have a great mix of portfolio of hotels to sell in. But a project like this will generate demand and create awareness of our city to bring people here. To the 6 million people that travel the Natchez Trace, or the 1 million people that go to Graceland every year, or, you know, the people that are coming into Nashville, and doing the 500,000 people that are doing Sun Studio tours, and the ability now to get to market them and get in front of those folks. So it will help everybody.
I'm also thinking that with UNA building a new stadium down on Pine Street, that's going to bring a lot of people in
Yes,
downtown
sir.
area. And where are they going to stay?
Exactly.
I have one other question, and it might be, Michael, for you, or Eugene, for you. I don't know. It's whoever wrote this letter. So there's the paragraph that says the city will provide standard minimum necessary public infrastructure development along with building permits and other incidental startup expenses in relation to this hotel.
Yes.
Do you mean that we would do that without asking for you all to pay us back for that?
And I'm happy to step into it. That's not meant to be ambiguous.
So, yeah, I think that is, I won't call it a catch-all statement, but it is an understanding. There are things just around the perimeter. There may be adjustments to utility feeds, et cetera, that just to change the building, like from what it is to what it's going to be. There may be a sewer line running parallel to the building that we need to bump out 5 feet to allow for. Those are the types of things we're talking about. We're not talking anything major here. This property is pretty well defined and landlocked. We're not asking to add an extra turn lane or to put in a specific exit off of an interchange, which those types of statements are very common to kind of throw a blanket over or cover those. But no, we're not asking specifically for any dedicated infrastructure changes to the streets or the access.
It's like things around the perimeter with changes in sewer lines and utilities that we would pay for as a city versus the development. That's what I understood you to say. Is that accurate?
And that's most common. Again, I do these developments all over the southeast and actually quite a few here in Alabama. And in most cases, again, right now, they're not selling any water into that building. So if the utility is, if in order to sell a whole bunch of water to this hotel and have water bills paid by this hotel to move or extend a water line here, upsize something there, those are investments. Those are not costs.
Thank you.
To clarify, so yes, the city would absorb those costs, but the specifics would be hammered out and very clear in the development agreement that this body would then have to vote to approve, assuming that we're going to move forward and go to the next stage. So I know it's more of a conceptual phase now.
It's one of those things you want to make sure that I understand that correctly.
President Jordan, if I could, he just mentioned development agreement. This whole thing can't happen until we have a development agreement, until the attorneys sit down together and come up with a development agreement to bring to us to vote on. That's when the actual project gets underway. And of course, we can't get to a development agreement until we say as a group if we want to move forward to get that process started. So my recommendation tonight would be to vote as a group here during this work session to move forward with the project so they can sit down and do a development agreement to bring to us to say yay or nay to, because we can't do anything until we have that development agreement. So that's my request, is that we vote as a council tonight to move forward and let the attorneys put a development agreement together.
I'm so sorry to disagree, but as I said in my comments, this is my first time to hear from these gentlemen and to get this information. I am not comfortable with that. So my vote would be reflective of that.
Okay.
So if the rest of you all, that's up to y'all, but I'm not prepared for that this evening.
I have to agree with Councilwoman Eubanks. This is the first time that the full council as a body have come tonight, and I'm not saying that I'm against or for, but this is the first time as the council as a whole body together have been able to speak with everybody at one time, to be able to ask all these questions, to get all these answers on one accord. And then me personally, I feel like that we should discuss it as a council and then get with our legal counsel, Mr. Musgrove, and share our thoughts with him, and then he draft up something to go back with the attorneys, and then you guys work it out.
Understand.
That's just my thoughts.
So just to clarify, we would be asking for the approval of this body as to the concept and these overall terms that we are proposing. But then once we get a development agreement in draft, before it is signed off on, this body would have full opportunity to review all the nitty-gritty details through your council and make any changes. So I mean, that process is pretty standard. We're not asking for you to sign off on a legal agreement tonight, other than just giving us the approval.
No, that's my point. We're not signing anything legal tonight. We're just telling you to put something together that we can actually sit down and say yes or no to.
Your bond counsel, Lee Birchall, wants to have that okay in order to then engage with me and finalize a development agreement that can be presented to you, and I will need to present to my clients so that we can agree, and we will need to hash out small points.
And I base mine too on our attorney has already sent us an email and said this was a doable deal. So that's what I'm basing, my thoughts on. So, but if my fellow council members need to ask more questions, well then, that's fine too.
No, I certainly appreciate that. So.
I think Billy would recommend that and get with you and come up with the agreement.
Do what now? I'm sorry.
I said I thought Billy can. We'll look at all the documents before we move forward on.
Well, it's my understanding though that they can't even sit down and do a development agreement
If
until.
Billy can do that, yes, with Michael.
I guess I'm confused or stupid.
That is, if we accept the 50%
Right.
rebate,
Right.
which I would like to say, this is the best deal that you've put together for our city, and I see it as a win-win for both. Our taxpayers are not paying any money for this project to come into town. The more it is successful, the more tax base it brings. We receive 50%, while you're receiving 50% for your investment. And if it sinks, we have lost none of our investment because we had no investment. This is truly a win-win for our city. I thank you for this proposal. I really like this one better than the first one.
Certainly the way that we view it, and so anyway, so.
But I also agree with my two lady friends here that I'm
Hello
not
now.
I'm not ready to vote on that tonight. I thought we were here just to hear one more time. And I would think within a month we could probably
This is
come
the
back
first
with
time
this.
that we've discussed this as a body.
Nobody
as
is
one.
asking you to vote yes or no on a hotel tonight. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, I get it.
Apparently you don't, because I'm
Apparently
telling
I
you.
do.
I'm telling
I heard
you.
what you said. I'm just making
I'm
sure
asking
that.
to give the attorneys, do we even need to do this? Do we need to do anything to give the attorneys permission to sit down and put together some sort of agreement, or do we need to come back at a later date and do that? I don't know.
It is quite an investment in terms of time and resources for us to put together an agreement. It's a sophisticated agreement, so we don't, obviously, you don't want to do that, and we don't want to do that until we're behind the concept on these general terms that we're trying to discuss tonight. So.
Thank you. Anybody else? Eugene, Michael, do y'all have anything else?
No, I'll just mention something. This, and I welcome questions, obviously, especially through the rigor that this has been screened and viewed professionally, legally. That we do need. I guess the question that stands before me on the other side of this is, do we have authority to negotiate a development agreement to put forward before the city council?
That's my question. That's why I was asking, do we need to vote on that, or do they have freedom to go do that?
With city council?
Sure, I would think so.
Then we don't even need to vote for them. We don't need to vote for them to do.
Well, being that we're in a work
an
session,
agreement,
is that
do we, Billy?
No, I mean, we can negotiate an agreement.
negotiate a development agreement, so I guess they're wanting to know if the council is interested in considering a development agreement if I negotiate.
That's what I was asking to us to make a decision on. Is there enough interest for them to sit down and start working on a development agreement? We don't have to accept the development agreement when it comes back around. We're just letting them sit down and start working on it.
I think there is. I mean,
I will say, the proposals that's been brought earlier, I was not for.
Agreed.
I'm not for the city putting in 50 million, 40 million, 10 million.
Any million.
Of city money going into it.
Yes, sir.
This is a different proposition. City's putting nothing in, and until the thing's built and running, the city will then receive 50% of the tax revenue for up to 15 years or up to 5 million, whatever comes first, I guess.
As opposed to zero.
As opposed to right now, zero. So this is a agreement that I can live with, because we're not asking the taxpayers for anything. In fact, we'll get 50% of the income, and I think, and as I said before, with UNA building a new stadium down the street, that's bringing people in. The sportsplex brings people in. The music industry brings people in, and there is room shortage. So, as of right now, what I've read and questions I've asked before, I don't see any reason why not to move forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
I think they answered it in the last paragraph. Because the council is in agreement with these general terms.
Well, I was just trying to do the right thing and be legal about it.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
that's what he's saying. That's what they're asking. I hate to keep beating them. That's exactly what they've asked. And I think everybody's in agreement with it.
Well, so we don't need to vote then, so we can just tell them to go ahead and go forward?
I think it would make them feel better if we have a vote. They'll move forward.
That's why I wanted to vote.
We have to accept or reject their proposal for a 50% rebate. And
no, sir, that's not what we're asking. Well, we've made a proposal. We need to enter into a. Yeah.
Maybe I can provide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Basically, the way it would work is if the council is interested enough, Michael and Lee Birchall and I and David Ringelstein or whoever else may be involved in this to negotiate, then we would, as soon as we had a draft of, I mean, I can't make the decisions of what's the substance of the contract, so when I got a draft, I would send it to the mayor and council and ask for comments, so I could go back to Michael and say, hey, Michael, the city agrees to this, but not this, and he would come back and say, well, maybe we can do this. But every time we had a new draft of the contract, I would discuss it with the council and mayor until we either reached an agreement or didn't reach an agreement. So that's basically, is that how y'all understand it?
That's all we would ask for.
Yeah, I mean, so, and the city won't be bound by anything until it approves the development agreement.
So, Mr. Shipper, you're asking for Mr. Shipper to go ahead and make a draft to present to the council.
Right. Well, we would certainly present it to your attorney.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would consult
And then he
with
would,
you,
yeah,
and,
okay.
and he would go over all of the terms with you. What we don't want to have happen is us spend the time to do that, and then you guys come back and say, you know, we're not really interested in this project.
Absolutely.
And that.
Right.
That 50% over 15 years is a non-starter. We just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with respect to the overall goal
Exactly.
of the bridge.
And that respectfully is why I am asking for an additional bit of time to look through this. I've known Eugene a long time, and I know that if I call you, you'll help me through any questions I have. And that's why I'm asking for that we can just place this on our regular agenda in a couple of weeks, and that way we will have had time to digest what you have given us and thoughtfully consider what you have shared with us today. That's why I'm requesting that.
I think it would be nice at that time if we actually had a development agreement.
You think you could have a development agreement in 2 weeks?
I think that it's possible to do it. If Mr. Barshaw, of course, would have to have time, and y'all would have to devote the time to it. I mean, certainly from my standpoint, it's doable. Let's also not forget that before anything is approved, it would have to go to a public hearing, so you're going to have an opportunity for the public to have input and comment too. So we're a long way from an actual binding legal commitment today.
Got well aware.
So how long does that?
What's your timeline that you need?
What's that?
What is your timeline that you're needing?
Well,
How soon are you needing this? I guess what I'm asking.
Well, so in order to come up with a good first draft of the development agreement, I mean, 2 weeks probably to do that. And now you're going to want to have some time to review it and comment on it. I mean, this is going to be a 25 page document. It's not something that you can sit down in 10 or 15 minutes and say yes or no to. So it'll be an involved process, but in order to get a first draft out, I think it's realistic to do that in 2 weeks. Yes.
So you said there would be a public hearing, so before the council approves something, how long do you have to advertise before a public hearing?
That's, you've got me on my back foot there. I would have to see.
7 days.
7 days.
It has to be advertised in the paper at least 7 days prior to the hearing.
We would certainly want the council to all be in agreement with the settlement, or I'm sorry, with the development agreement that we would have negotiated among the parties before that. Right.
Well, again, I'm making a motion tonight that we give these guys the clear to go ahead and start negotiating or putting together a development agreement to bring us in 2 weeks to look at, and then either vote on it or not vote on it.
As my friend Mim said, the answer is money. Now, what's your question? So, did I hear a motion that we go and ask them to move forward with Billy? And
I make the motion.
any discussion? None, all in favor?
I've been clear why I'm not voting. I'm not ready. So
Yes, ma'am. I understand. Thank you.
Thank y'all, Eugene.
Thank you.
I don't even.
Yeah. Pretty.
I'm fixing to show you.
There, Chief.
Pretty place.
Pretty red. That's what nice, expensive paper will do.
So I know we're running behind schedule a little, and I'll certainly try to be as attentive to that as I can. I had a little bit of information I was wanting to bring you on the, as you all know, about close to 2 years ago, we started the project on trying to locate property and to rebuild a new Fire Station 4, which is currently on Huntsville Road. That fire station was built in 1964 and has virtually had no upgrades or anything to that building. One thing about this type of facility, you typically find that when a city or municipality builds a fire station, they're on a between 40 and 50 year plan for that building, for the use of it. There are things obviously that can change that, but we're certainly at that 50-year mark on this particular facility. But I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on kind of the timeline and where we are. We obviously had the property procured, and that's taken place last year. We've been working with architect GMC company out of Huntsville, based out of Huntsville, and they've been working with myself and the command staff and the mayor and other city officials on the plan. And this is the first public viewing of the rendering that we've come up with, and you all have the color picture of the same thing that's on the board over here. This station is planned at the corner of Mahogany and North Franklin Street. The front of the building would be facing the ballpark at Broadway Recreation Center. That would be immediately across the road from it, to the north side of it. Right now, the timeline we have, June the 18th is our next meeting with the architect group, and we are trying to get that. Hopefully, we'll have pretty close to the finalization on the drawing and the plans at that point. In July, we have 2 different key dates that we're looking at. One early July is have the bid set ready to go out to the potential bidders, and by mid July, being ready for our first pre-bid meeting on the facility. And the anticipation is to put it out for bid shortly afterwards, with a August bid opening timeline, with maybe as early as the end of August, 1st of September, having it ready for the notice to proceed. That's a pretty aggressive timeline at this point, I'll say that, but we're certainly excited and optimistic. I'll say, this has been a big deal for our fire department, our city as well. We certainly are making plans to be a good neighbor to the community out there. When we started this project, trying to find a location, that is a key thing for the fire stations. In multiple ways, we need to be somewhat close to major thoroughfares so the trucks can get out on the road and get traveling on emergency incidents. We need to be geographically placed in the right places in correlation with the other fire stations. There are several guidelines that we fall under to make sure homeowners insurance, business owners insurance are covered with our ISO ratings and those sort of things. And we located this piece of property, and I'll say it this way, it fit the mold for what we was looking for. And we're certainly excited for that. And we've got, the fire department, as far as facilities go, we've got some needs coming up in the coming years, very near coming years. Station 2 is another top priority. Fire Station 1 was built in 1977, had a substantial remodel and addition in 99. Fire Station 2 was purchased by the city. The building was built in 1963, and in the early 90s it became a fire station, retrofitted to become a fire station. That particular facility is in desperate need of replacement, just to be honest with you. Like I said, the building was built in 63, and it was retrofitted to become a fire station. And we've got the infrastructure of the building has got numerous issues, plumbing, sewage, you name it. We've had to pull all the plumbing to the interior of the walls. Everything is strapped to the wall, and we're working through that and working fine with it for the time being. But it is definitely a priority coming very soon behind this station. One of the goals in the plan development of this Station 4, New Fire Station 4, was to create a model that we can turn and duplicate in other districts and in the future, and with very little minute adjustments to it. And I feel confident that we have been successful in meeting that goal. Let me go through the rest of it. Fire Station 3 was built in 1948, and it had a significant renovation and remodel in 1993. And we've got Fire Station 5 out on Cox Creek that was built in 1974. So I'm sharing that information so you obviously understand where we are with the age of some of our facilities, and the guys do a great job maintaining them and trying to keep things up to par. The growth of the city as things move and migrate, we try to anticipate that. We do, you all do, everyone does in city government, anticipate where growth is going to develop in the future. And that is pushing the envelope for some things to come with future fire stations. I'll say that Fire Station 2 is probably, it is the next hot topic button. And I know Councilwoman Eubanks and I have had some conversations about a fire station in her district, and I'm certainly sensitive to that in the future. And there's a need out there based on where the growth and the population, the density of the population and the call volume has happened in the city. But each fire station, building a new one or relocating one, has a cause and effect into how it correlates and relates to the other existing facilities. And we've got a pretty good plan that we're looking at with that, and trying to trying to push forward with that process. I guess at this point, if there's any questions, I just wanted to provide a short update on where we are. Things are about to become very visible. I've invited Councilmember Griffith to, if he wants to hold a community meeting, that we certainly would entertain meeting with the neighborhood out there and sharing the plans, the drawings with those guys in the neighborhood, and seeing if we have anything that we can address from their concerns.
I commend the firemen for taking care of those buildings like they do. I had no idea that they were that age. You wouldn't know it by looking at them.
Right.
So they do a good job with it.
Yes.
Chief, I sincerely appreciate your giving this information to the Public Safety Committee. It was very kind of you to do that, and I appreciated having the information. Can you tell me a little bit, like you told us, about what you anticipate the cost of this will be?
So we have $3.5 million right now in the capital funds budget for this project. And when this started, obviously we very well are aware that building materials and cost of building structures such as this, or anything as far as that goes, has certainly gone up. We don't know exactly what we're looking at, but the plans are built on the premises of the budgeted money now. There are some things that we were anticipating, such as the station's backup generator. We were anticipating being able to hopefully utilize the one that's at the current fire station. We now know that is not going to be feasible. Just the phasing of electricity is going. There's some things about this building that's pushing the envelope towards phase 3 power, for example. That generator does not support phase 3 power. So those are some things that we were hoping to be able to relocate that equipment to this facility, but it's not going to work. We just don't know yet at this point what we're going to be looking at with those costs. We should know something very soon.
Especially when you get to the bid part.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else?
How many square feet?
The entire building is 8,493 square feet. Almost 3,300 of those square feet are made up in the apparatus room. That's a large chunk of it, just the bays that the trucks park in. This facility will have, the current station, we can't even get all of our fire trucks. If we have maintenance and down times with units, we can't even, it physically won't. You can't get some of our trucks in that building as we rotate around to reserve units and that sort of thing. This facility would be able to house anything we have, as well as keep a reserve truck at that facility, have a place to keep it out of the elements and in a more suitable location than what we're currently using.
I also like that you told us about there were facilities for male and female fire.
Yes, this facility, we've tried to, one of my commitments when this project started was to try to establish a usable and functional building that also met the needs of 24/7 operation, 365 days, and it's predominantly occupied by men. And firemen can be rough on things sometimes, so there's not a lot of plushness to the building, but it's very functional. I'm very confident in that. But one of the things that we wanted to be sure that this facility had is ADA compliant for the portions that needed to be in the building, and it also had facilities that supported a female firefighter. Today, at the moment, we don't have any. We have had in the past, but we take applications on a regular basis. We never know when the next one will be, and this facility has a place that a female could have her own private shower and bathroom facilities that we don't typically have in most of our facilities. They have to share those spaces.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
Explain to them, one thing that I was amazed about is the bay doors that'll be given.
So yes, what we have proposed in the draft is the bay doors are basically bifold. They open lateral to each side instead of an overhead roll-up door. They're a more expensive door on the front side, but the longevity and the maintenance and those sort of things that's your cost savings down the road. You pay a little more on the front side. The speed in operation is much faster. One of the challenges we've had is an overhead door in a fire truck. You lose visibility, your line of sight very quick. You think about pulling up to a traffic intersection, and certain vehicles are having your sun visor down and you try to look under to see the red light. That is substantially closer to you in a fire truck, just the way the drivers sit and the structure of the vehicle. the door goes out of your line of sight, we really don't know if it went up and stayed up, or if it went all the way up, or if it's traveling back down. You don't know what's going on, and we've had every fire station has instances, mishaps with that. And this is certainly it is always visible to you. We don't have the issues or concerns of anyone being underneath it, something going wrong, doors falling. We have that we have doors that move quite often now. There's certain things that cause interference. You can be sitting at Fire Station 1 and a bay door will just go up or down, and there's no one around any of the trucks or any of the controls. And we have video footage of that, and we cannot find out why. So those are things that's concerning, and those are also reasons why this style of door is a benefit to us. This station would be a drive-through. The fire truck would enter the rear in a circle drive format and exit the front, not have the issues with backing up, especially in a community, a neighborhood with a lot of kids and that sort of thing. We always put spotters on the ground, but it's just much safer in the standards and in the NFPA standards now. Pretty much, they don't handcuff you to the standard, but if at all possible, the overwhelming consensus standard is to build a station that you can drive through for safety concerns.
Thank you, Chief.
Anything else? Mayor Betterton's been a huge support. You all for the budget. This is huge for us at the fire department, and there's more of our needs to come as far as capital projects like this. But this is certainly a big step for us, and I thank you and Mayor Betterton and everyone for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Afternoon, Tad Cole, City of Florence Gas and Water. I'll be brief. I have one change order in the amount of $31,173. This is for the installation of antenna and conduit supports on the new 1.5 million gallon tank in Killen. This is to support infrastructure for like volunteer fire departments, or possibly even look at a lease of some type in the near future for a company that can put, for instance, cellular or something of that nature. So that change order is $31,173 to be paid from account 107.004, and that's the construction work in process, and then when it's complete, it will be transferred to the regular budget. Any questions? Thank y'all.
Do we need a motion?
We do.
Do I have a motion for the change order?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Everett, second by Mr. Oliver. All in favor of the motion?
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council. Brad Holmes, Florence Lauderdale EMA. I have one item on the agenda and one issue I need to discuss very briefly with you. I know your time is limited today. On the agenda, item C under the consent agenda is an agreement between the City of Florence and Lauderdale County to engage Fitch Associates for a consulting contract for EMS throughout Lauderdale County. Several weeks ago, I had emailed the proposal to each of the council members. Both Mr. Musgrove on behalf of the city and Mr. Smith on behalf of the county have reviewed the agreement and both concur that it is in line and appropriate for the council to consider. This agreement will cost $50,000. That will be split equally between the city and the county at $25,000 apiece. The consulting agreement will span the course of about 6 months, and it will be a full-scale review of emergency medical services throughout the city of Florence and Lauderdale County. If you'll recall, during the negotiations with Lifeguard, this topic came up to see how we could best move forward with emergency medical services in Florence and Lauderdale County. Fitch & Associates is a nationally recognized company. They're accepted by the state of Alabama, and they have worked a number of projects throughout the state. And it would be my recommendation to the council that we move forward on this. Assuming that the council votes in approval of this tonight, this same contract and consulting agreement will go before the Lauderdale County Commission next Monday. Any questions?
Thank you for providing this for us. If we have questions about it, reach out to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the second thing, Mr. President, very quickly, I met with the County Commission earlier today, and I know that we've had some conversations over the past about the 911 board, and there are a number of vacancies that are on it. Just to bring the council quickly up to date, the city's representation is Mr. Pierce, Councilman Oliver, and Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham has moved outside of the city limits, and so that creates a vacancy on behalf of the city. On the county side, you have Commissioner Hackworth, Commissioner Parker, and then a vacancy. Commissioner Parker's term is up, which leaves the county commission with 2 vacancies. And then Mr. Mike Curtis is the joint appointee between the city and the county. During the course of the conversations about the future of 911 and EMA, there had been a lot of conversation about the makeup of that board. And in speaking with the county, they would like for me to recommend consideration to the council of potentially filling the vacancies as follows. So the joint appointee would be on a 3-year rotating period, and there'll have to be an MOU that would have to be signed, but it would be on a rotating between the city and the county, and the mayor or the county commission chairman would fill that spot.
Always.
Always. Then
3 years mayor, 3 years county commission.
yes, that way neither body has an overwhelming majority for an extended amount of time. Then on the city side, the recommendation would be that the city council appoint a city council representative for a term, that the police chief would be appointed, and that the fire chief would be appointed. Then on the county side, a county commissioner would be appointed, a representative from the Volunteer Fire Association, likely their president would be appointed, and the sheriff of the county. So that would make sure that there was both governmental representation as well as public safety and first responder representation on both sides, and then ensure that there wasn't a supermajority for an extended amount of time by ensuring that the mayor and or the county commission chairman was that additional person. Just very, very briefly, if you'll remember, there is a state law that establishes the authority for a local municipality and county to establish an emergency communication district. As a result of that legislation, there was a piece of local legislation that was passed jointly between the city and the county that established that emergency communication district within Lauderdale County. Then on top of that, there was an MOU entered into between the city and the county establishing the board and what representation was there. So action that would be needed from the council, if the council is in agreement, would be a new MOU between the city and the county, specifically outlaying how those appointments would work.
Will you get us something in writing
Yes,
to
ma'am.
reflect this?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, are these term limits or are they by position? So let's say that we have a chief, like we had Chief Tyler for a number of years.
Yes,
he
ma'am.
would be the appointee until he is not in that position.
Or until the way that the MOU and the way that the legislation, the council and the commission at any time can revoke those appointees and appoint new individuals with or without cause.
But right now it's by position.
Right now, it's just by city council and county commission.
Right.
You can get 3 folks that, whoever they are, on your side, the county can do the same, and then both have to come together on the joint.
Yeah, I'm talking about the proposed amount.
The proposed
people.
amount would be set. They would be established that it will be the police chief.
Period, end of
It will be
story.
the fire chief, period. It will be a city council person.
Okay, and that is by position. They are appointed by position for as
That's
long
right.
as they hold those positions. That's what I'm asking.
That would be the
Okay.
agreement under the MOU. Under the state law, they have to be reviewed, so there would be a review process that would come up from time to time to ensure compliance with the law.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a great idea.
Thank you, Councilman.
I think we're going to have to hire somebody to look over the directions of who to appoint.
Yes, sir.
And that was a lot. That was a lot of words. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that and reviewing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
I'll email
you.
that out this evening.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Appreciate that.
Let's see, we got 10. Florence.
Hi, how are y'all?
Good. How are
That's
you?
Doing well. I have a couple of items tonight. Consent item D. It's 2 proposals for certified alarm for the payment center. Once again, I know everybody's sick of hearing of that. The first one is an additional line that the architect didn't draw for the gate for the employees to go in and out with their scan card. he thought we would use clickers. Not a good idea. But the amount of that one is $6,993.15. And then the second proposal were some additional cameras that Jack and Jeff thought we needed. So when they certified alarm to run the wire for security. And the amount of that one is $1,210. So the total of the two contracts or proposals are $8,203.15.
Any questions? If not,
We need a vote. Is a change order?
was that a change order?
No, they're
Oh,
just,
I didn't say it's
Just
not a
a
they're
change.
actually going to come out of the contingency that's
Right.
built in. But since it is a contract, we need council approval.
Well, it's on this resolution on the agenda.
Yes, it's on D, consent D.
That's what we need.
Okay. No, ma'am.
She
No.
said it
It's
wasn't.
just going to be a contract
Right.
approval on the consent agenda. I'm sorry about that, Dick.
Any questions on that one?
No, go ahead.
The other item is general business, item A, and it is the gas and water budgets. I won't go into great detail unless somebody has questions. We met with the utility committee on May 15th or 14th, and y'all recommended it come to full council, and I think I put it in everybody's mailboxes maybe 10 days ago or so, if you've had a chance to look at it. But if you got questions, Rebecca and Heath do most of the work on these. They do a good job of getting those ready.
And you do too.
So Tad and I look over them, but they do the lines work.
They're pretty great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Were there any rate increases on that?
No, not in these. No, general wage increases. We always wait for general fund and see if that, then we amend ours to reflect it as well.
Any questions from Mark? Thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon. Chase McCluskey, Engineering Department. I got two items on the consent agenda today. Item E is a resolution to approve an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for maintenance responsibilities on the right-of-way within the city limits. That'll be at the corner of Bluff Street and Mitchell Boulevard in regards to the Singing River sculpture. Next, item F. It's another resolution to approve an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for grading and landscaping on the same right-of-way. Any questions?
I assume that's by the city.
How soon?
No, I said I assume that's by the maintenance will be done by
Correct.
the city.
Yes, that's correct.
What was that amount? Do you know?
There's no amount. It's urban forestry will handle the landscaping, so just what the plant material costs.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
None of us.
No, not for me. Thank you.
She can't hear. Thank you. You got Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Good afternoon. I was waiting for Miss Eubanks to
Thank you.
return to your seat.
I apologize.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
quite all right. So we have 4 items on the consent agenda tonight. The first item is item G, which was to pay an invoice to Sutherland Sight and Sound for some work that they did to the PA system during the regional tournament, and that amount was $4,950. Next item is H, to Sutherland Sight and Sound as well, to upgrade those same PA system, receivers, microphones, amplifiers, and other equipment in the amount of $24,852, which was budgeted funds.
Did they make them also lightning proof?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. Okay.
If there's such a thing, lightning arrestor or something, yes.
Any questions from Bill?
We got two more.
I'll set on that one.
I'm sorry.
Everybody's in a hurry. Go ahead. Slip it by.
The next item is item J.
Wait.
I mean, item I, I'm sorry. Trying to get in a hurry, I'm sorry. Next item is item I, and it's a proposal into a contract with Irons Electric, and they will be providing and installing some weatherproof strip lighting and LED lights where we had some damage to our ceiling from a leak. The amount is $2,750.
Where are those? Are those inside?
Yes, ma'am.
In the main area?
We had some damage, you know, when it rained. We've got the roof replaced since then, but we had some damage where the sheetrock caved in and it damaged the lights. So they'll replace those. The roof is doing great, so got that fixed. Any questions on that one?
Mm-mm.
Item J. And we would like to enter into a contract with R&B Services, and this will be to provide HVAC, refrigerant, and miscellaneous service and maintenance on an as-needed base for our HVAC units throughout the department. Any questions on that one?
Hopefully that'll save us some money on those emergent calls.
Hopefully. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This evening, I have one item, that's item L, and I think everyone received a copy of this, and I think I discussed it with each of you. Item L is a resolution to approve the proposal for Swatek, Vaughn, and Bryan to provide lobbying and consulting services, and that's sponsored by me. This is a renewal of an ongoing contract. Our lobbyist is Philip Bryan. I think each one of you know him, and I think they represent us very well, and I'd ask that you approve this. Question?
And we do have a couple of appointments. One of them was for Renee Blessing to the Florence Historical Preservation Committee. And we also have a resolution appointing Michael Carr to the Florence Lauderdale Public Library Board. And we also agreed to appoint Michelle Gray to replace Deborah Stubberville and Ronald Hildy to replace Brian Murphy. And that's what we did on the board appointments. Mayor Betterton is on the Florence is on the improvement district.
Ordinance on the improvement district.
That wasn't on the list.
Sorry, I didn't do it. I'm innocent.
Rod, you want to go ahead and go over that right quick? The improvement district.
Ordinance on the TID.
Yeah,
You'll make comment?
oh, okay.
We're unorganized.
Hello again.
Hello. Yeah, I guess we're just it's been a long road to this point, but we're very excited that we're at this stage to have the TID ordinance before the City Council tonight. And so we're excited about this opportunity for our community, for both the TID board and the Destination Marketing Organization, or CVB, to work together in this light. And so we're excited about what the future holds, and working with the city. Great representation on the board. So we're seeking your approval tonight on the ordinance and looking forward to the future. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
I believe that's all we have. If we want to take a few minute break, then